So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The meeting is called to order, and the first order of business is approval of the December 5th meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Motion approved. The next motion is to accept the agenda item for the Lyme Art Association to take place right now during the public open forum. They're here not for a certificate of appropriateness application, but just to discuss informally the framing of their skylights, which we have previously approved. Do I have a motion to accept adding them back onto the agenda?
So moved.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Great. Approved. Okay. So Elsie, would you like to come up and just bring whatever?
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
You'll be in and out. We'll know. It's going to continue.
Happy to have you. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Marcy.
Deb Zarnecki has just joined the meeting.
I did. Good to see you.
9:05.
9:05. Can I put this on here?
Yeah.
It's going to damage.
Everyone's familiar with the
Yes.
building and the project
Yes.
and the skylight, so I'll just jump ahead a little bit. The configuration of the skylights is going to remain the same, as far as where all the vertical pieces are and the framing and everything else. So what we have before you right now is samples of the skylight corner itself and the roof shingles, which are this color is called weathered wood. This is what the board at the Lyme Art Association.
Where do the roof shingles go? Because you've just re-shingled it, right?
No, the whole roof is getting redone.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the roof. All the pitched roofs are getting re-shingled. The skylights are getting re-flashed and waterproofed.
Okay.
And everything.
So our question, so we've been meeting with the construction managers and they've been getting the bids for the project, and it turns out that there are a couple of options, and one of the options is called transparent. Is that correct? And that is what would look like the galvanized steel.
The anodized, just
the
flat.
Anodized.
Yeah, it's kind of like. So backing up, this is the shallowest section that we can get. The depth of the skylight that sticks off the roof that still meets the building and wind load requirements. And we've been looking for like a year to try to get this narrowed down. So it does stick up a little bit higher than that existing skylight. So the thought was
We don't want it.
they don't
stand
want.
out
So
more
the
than-
original one is kind of silver framed. The thought was that it would be better to match the color with the roof than it would be because if this became silver, it would really be more impact. Yeah, it would be a lot more impact on the visual of it. So that's why this is standard anodized bronze, and it kind of goes with the brownie grays of the roof. So this is what they wanted. This is what they want to do. So we're here to get your discussion or.
Did we approve the roof shingles?
I think the roof shingles were like for like.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we really approved was the skylight because the materials would be different.
Right.
So I agree with your reasoning that it's better to have that than the silver.
Right.
Because I agree with you.
Right.
Yeah. It has less visual impact.
It does. I agree.
Because the roof now is currently in that photo.
It's this tone. This is a really red picture. It's kind of oversaturated in color, but the roof is really kind of more of a weathered wood.
Yeah, I agree with your reasoning on that. Russ, I'm sorry you can't see it, but are you sort of following the?
Yeah. Well, is it a brushed finish? It's not a shiny.
No, it's not shiny.
It's matte, Russ.
It's matte, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sounds very reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ, would you like me to take a picture of it and send it to you?
Sure, if you like.
I can do that.
Why not?
Yeah. Okay, hold on here.
Maybe it's,
Wait, let me see if I have
that's what it's.
phone here, Russ. I can just text it to you. Yeah. No, I'm calling you there. Hold on. Message. Photo. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's coming to you, Russ.
Okay. Let's see.
Do you need a motion today So the original motion was to approve the C of A application skylights as presented. So what we could do is just approve a slight change of color. I would say to have a motion.
Okay, so I move that we approve the change of color in the skylight for the Lime Art Association, which is a slight departure from the color originally stated in the C of A.
I second that. Favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the discussion.
Thanks for meeting us so early this
Great.
morning.
Good. Okay.
Thanks for coming in. You've been great about the process. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. It's going to look great.
Yeah, it's gonna look great.
Excited. Okay.
Great.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Okay, bye. All right. Do you want to start the secretary's report?
Sure.
Okay.
Our budget was submitted to the finance department with a slight increase of $250. Total budget $8,750. The Grizzled Point application approval letter was sent to Jen Schofield at the State Historic Preservation Office, approving the application and asking for the corrections, some additional corrections.
Did you hear back from her, Martha?
I did, yes. She said that the corrections will be attached to the application and will all become part of the record.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because all communications about an application become part of the record.
We would prefer to have them incorporated into the text, but this is better than nothing.
Yes.
So you might include that in the minutes.
Yep.
You know, we would
Okay.
prefer to have them incorporated in the text, but we appreciate that at least they're being included in the record, or something like that. I'd just like us to be on record about that.
Yep. Yep.
I
Okay.
have a couple of questions on the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Once you finish with that. Has there been a townwide cost of living increase? Speaking about your specific.
I haven't heard of one.
Okay. So when is the budget due?
The preliminary budget was due December 15th.
Right.
And then, but it doesn't get voted on for quite a while.
And I remember last year it was March, I think.
Yeah, we are supposed to have a liaison assigned to us from the finance department. or the Board
I
of...
mean, that will be assigned to us or that is currently assigned to us?
I haven't heard anything about who that would be, but the Board of Finance usually does always
You know,
have somebody that you can talk with,
Okay.
because they may have some questions about your budget,
Okay, so when you find...
but we haven't received any notification of that yet.
All right. And do we make a separate, if we wanted to increase your pay or anything else, do we make that ask separately?
There
a timetable?
There is a salary review option, and I can send you that information.
Okay. All right. So that's something that John and I would do
Okay.
through finance. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
That would be nice.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of work at the Historic District. Okay. All right. Shall we wait to see if anyone turns up or start with the co-chair's report?
Do you have more, Martha, or is that it?
We're still working on the web page updates. And I just wanted to say we are monitoring 11 properties in the historic district for either, certificates of appropriateness projects or other situations. So
that's down from
yes.
2 months ago or so. Right?
Yes, we were at 17 at one point, so it's getting a little more reasonable. And I do not have any updates on the plaque program.
Okay.
So that's it for me.
Deanie, this is Russ. I would suggest on the proposed raise that we indicate the intensification and overall historic district workload over the last year or two as part of that as well.
Yep.
As a suggestion. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. All right. Thank you, Russ. The co-chair's report, as everyone can see, John Noyes is not here. He will try and dial in a little bit later in the meeting. My report is very brief to say that we have identified and asked Ed Pinn if he would be interested in serving as an alternate on the HDC, which he accepted, and he has completed the application and sent it to the selectmen, and we're just waiting for the selectmen's approval, and then he will join us. Carolyn knows him well. Maybe Carolyn would like to say a thing or two about Ed.
Ed lives on Whippoorwill Road. He has lived in Old Lyme for some 30 years, maybe longer than that. Raised his children here. He's recently retired as an optometrist in Saybrook, where he had a wide practice. He's very engaged in the community, very interested in the work of the HDC, and just a very solid person, as far as I know, of good judgment. He works with John and me and Tim Griswold on the Old Lyme Cemetery Association, so we've had an opportunity, to see how he works. He's a very collaborative person who takes on responsibilities and executes them very well, and I think he'll be a very good member in joining our group.
That's great, and we still have room for 2 more, so later in the meeting we will discuss those names again. We are scheduled for a public hearing on 10 Lime Street, the Village Shop Stonework. Did you think that Jim Graybill was calling in? No, he's in Mexico.
No, he's in Mexico on vacation. So we can discuss the project and what we would like to see, and then because this is the last meeting this, you know, in the 60-day
Window.
that we have. So our options are to either ask him to withdraw the C of A and resubmit it, or else we could approve it with certain conditions. Then if he meets the conditions, he can go ahead with the project.
I don't know what anyone else thinks, but since he has been unable to attend the last two meetings, where we have discussed this, maybe we should ask him to withdraw and resubmit. Like what does Russ and Carolyn, Deb, what do you think?
I think so too.
It's withdrawing without prejudice. It's just that we haven't had the opportunity to discuss it with him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Jeannie.
Okay. So we'll need a vote for that. The motion,
I move that we ask Jim Graybill to withdraw without prejudice his C of A for stonework in the village shops and resubmit so that he has a chance to discuss with us his plans and preferences.
I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Did he receive the photograph of what we've suggested?
I haven't sent that to him yet.
Okay. Maybe when we notify him of this decision, we'll forward that
Yeah.
so that he can get this taken care of as soon as he's back.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he can't do anything right now because it's winter.
Right.
So he has to wait till spring anyway. So
So if he's back for February, we could approve it, or March.
we could do it in March,
Yeah.
and then he could be ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
And Jeannie, in the photograph, what are you proposing that he?
That instead of using the block type of stone and elevating it, what I think we all agreed with in our December meeting was that just a flush pad of stone, similar to the one in the photograph, with blue stone just set, on
Flush
level
with
with
the
the ground, would be would be the least noticeable and obtrusive way to achieve what he wants to do.
Right, and the key is to make it look natural, not wood put there and then
Right. Right.
the chair is going to move around.
Right.
And then if the chairs break and it's not replaced, you have this frame with block in it that's going to sit there.
Right. So I think we all agree that we don't want that application.
So we're going to ask him to substitute a different material.
And install it
Differently.
level, at ground level.
Right.
Good. I think that will meet his needs and it will look much better.
Okay, I have to do something about that. I don't have that COFA application. Well, I do. I obviously do somewhere.
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
All right. I think all of you received from Martha a final draft of the revised certificate of occupancy application form.
I did manage to print out a copy. Anybody want to take a look at it?
I have a copy too.
My copy's all in blue. because
Okay.
I printed-
Russ, did you see it?
I have it.
I have not had a chance to look at that or seen that.
All right. Well, what I would say is that I think it's greatly improved. The process it's a lengthier application. It's still on 2 pages, which is good. There's more text with much more detail on the process that I think will help applicants, as they apply. And if there are any changes that need to be made, they can be made.
What's up,
I support that.
the first paragraph for instructions, you have 52 Main Street.
Oh, it says 52 Main Street on there, Lime Street? Oh.
And then in the first paragraph under notes, where it says fences, roofing, I would think that you'd want to put stone walls if that's what the intent is, because I read it and I thought, walls, what kind of walls? Do you mean stone walls? Do we mean masonry walls?
Which, is that under 3?
It's under
No,
the
under
first
notes.
note. Hidden wall.
Oh, yeah, 52.
So how do you want to
Modify it?
depict
We can approve it, including the suggested changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
stone walls / masonry? Because, you know, some are like natural stone walls and then others are mortar and all that stuff, and so they become like a masonry wall.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what we're
So
talking
should we
about.
say both that, stone / masonry
Right,
wall?
because you've seen, like in
Uh-huh.
Lyme, there's no masonry work, they're just
Or,
like
oh, yeah.
placed, so.
Right.
But then you see walls where somebody's actually putting cement or whatever.
Yeah, the dry, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good suggestion.
Really good suggestion, Deb.
I move that we accept the revised C of A form with the changes suggested.
One other thing I would say, because I'm just reading it over, I would do swimming pool spa or / spas, because people usually have that, so you want to be as
Yeah.
specific as possible. Driveways, do you want to, okay, they're all going to be pavers or stone, right? We're not even mentioning paving, correct?
Right, that comes,
Or do you want to leave it just as driveways?
What would be the alternative, Deb?
driveway or
Versus what?
paving. Driveway / paving.
I don't know, is there somewhere else where we define what a driveway material is in the district?
No, that would be a separate
Okay.
form.
Yeah,
We've talked about providing everyone in the district with a sheet that gives them our recommendations.
Okay,
And I
okay.
still think that's a very good idea. It wouldn't be too hard, and it's something we could do early in the year.
It's necessary for applicants to come to the HDC for approval before they can
yeah.
pull a driveway permit from the town.
There is something in our.
Okay, it goes more into
about
depth, okay.
the
And do you
material.
reference that book on this form? Because I would say that's a good cover saying, you know, please refer to.
I'll tell you when to stop. I'll tell you when to stop.
All specifications.
They have the-
Okay, good.
I don't know what this exactly says, but Historic District Commission presumably handles.
I would say definitely reference the handbook. Please refer to the handbook for all detailed specifications.
You could also put that under additional information.
Yes.
For additional
Yep.
information, there's the website, and then there's handbook
Right,
available at the town hall.
Mm-hmm.
right.
That may
Because then-
change our spacing.
I can make it fit in.
Okay.
Because you have somebody that would come here and say, well, I didn't know that I had to do whatever, but if you covered yourself with the C of A and saying it's in the handbook, the specifications.
Also, like,
I would be careful using specifications. I would say that it's additional information. Yeah, information. Yeah.
That's what it does say, Russ, so we can just say, consult the handbook or visit, and then say with the website.
Yeah, because specification is an architectural term that you would have detailed specs in it. So, yeah.
Good point. So the motion is on the table?
One question: can I abstain or do a no vote, and it still proceed since I haven't had a chance to look at it?
Yes, we have a quorum without you now.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to restate the motion, or is everybody remembered?
Do you have it, Martha?
So the changes are to correct the address from Main Street to Lime Street, to add stone/masonry walls,
Yes.
and include the Historic District Handbook
Mm-hmm.
And swimming
additional-
pool/spas.
and swimming pool/spas, yeah.
I don't know if John pointed out to you, but these are supposed to be boxed. Attached are supposed to be a
Oh,
box,
yeah. I was gonna say that are.
and he just couldn't figure out how to format that.
So I have
Terms you see the
Mm-hmm.
are.
attachments.
What is it?
Oh, so he wants,
What we've had
Oh,
before
okay,
is a
mine
little
came
box
as
there so
R.
that someone can check in the box.
Mine has boxes,
You got the
Deanie.
box.
oh, attached our site plan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep,
So when you printed it out, it had it.
Yep.
When I printed it out.
When I printed it, it has R, yeah.
Okay.
So what your browser eyes, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Spas and reference the HD handbook.
I wondered about the one more thing, the wording close to the end. This approval is good for X blank and expires blank. This approval, I think something about, I don't know, Martha will have the better language for that.
Is,
Covers the period X to X, or Martha, what?
well,
I don't
usually
like
we
the
just say,
I mean, we could just take
in
out,
effect, how about is in effect for?
Effect.
Mhm.
That sounds better.
Yeah. Is in effect from blank to blank, or from blank and
From.
expires blank, whichever you think is clearer.
Yeah, yeah, I like, that's better. Two. There, okay.
And this will be given to the building department or anyone upstairs to just clarify.
and it
the-
will be on the website.
Okay.
Martha, does yours, when I print mine out, that happens, but you formatted it so it doesn't.
I made it
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so that whoever prints it out, it should be within the print range of the date
Okay.
received. Yep, with the page number.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will let them know in land use that the fee schedule has changed.
Yep.
Instead of 25 or 50, it's just 40 for everything.
Yeah.
So just one fee schedule.
I had an email from the new owner of the Ebert House, formerly owned by Nancy Stula, and he's asked if there was going to be an updated COFA application. I said, absolutely. It will be on the website by the end of the week.
Good.
So he's waiting that.
And we can always email it to him if you have his email address.
Yep, I do. Okay, why don't you email that to me when it's finished, and I'll email it to him.
Okay. Okay, so who seconded the motion to approve the updated form?
You second that?
I didn't, but I will. I
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So it's under.
And Russ is abstaining.
So it's
Correct.
like little ones.
Abstain.
And it didn't have like
Okay.
Next item, Dee?
The next item is the status of the overlay proposal. It's on the agenda for 9:45. So I don't know if anyone is going to attend, but maybe we should wait.
This is just your report anyway, so it could probably go forward.
It is, right. Okay. Everyone who is currently on the phone and present here attended the meeting on January the 3rd, called by Michael Duffy of the Lime Academy Fine Arts. And we prepared just a brief summary of that meeting, which I will read into our meeting record. Michael Duffy, LACFA Board Chair, called a meeting of all the potential nonprofit overlay participants, HDC members, if available, CEO Eric Knapp, Attorney Terry Loam, and Tim Griswold, to find common ground related to the LACFA proposal. There was some haste to the meeting since the public comment period was due to expire on January 9th, 23. The explanation of the reason for the proposed overlay zone was, one, to benefit the nonprofits so they wouldn't have to keep coming back to the Zoning Commission for approvals, and secondly, to benefit the town in that it helps Eric Knapp on the enforcement side. This was explained by Terry Loam. Thirdly, the explanation of impact on the historic district. Zoning changes requested in the proposal would result in an intensification and expansion of new uses within, but not outside the boundaries or proposed boundaries of the zone. And the changes, once in effect, would be forever. That was Eric Knapp. 4, among the multiple questions raised were, what would be the boundaries of the proposed district? How many historic district nonprofits would be included? What activities would be allowed as recreational uses? What accessory apartments would be allowed? How would parking on Lime Street be affected? And how would the public be informed that the opportunity for public comment closes on January 9th? After that, Michael Duffy concluded the meeting with the request that Terry Loam make the necessary changes based on the conversation within 24 hours. So, Martha, I'm going to give that to you.
Great.
For the minutes, and we can open this meeting up for discussion. Is there anyone present who would like to comment?
Deanie, I have to jump off, so I'll make my comment quickly. I haven't seen the requested changes that were noted in your minutes that you just read aloud. So at this point in time, I think that the recommendation that the HDC has made in previous meetings to the Zoning Commission be continued, and that there hasn't been sufficient or updating or sufficient time to review any updates to make a change in the position from my perspective. And I would support a letter if the HDC Commission would like to send a letter to the Old Lyme Zoning Commission to that effect, that the public and that the HDC requires more time to review any proposed changes. So,
just to keep you up to date, Russ, last night at, I don't even actually know what time, it wasn't last night, it was early this morning, we received the final wording from Attorney Loam on the proposal, which
okay.
Few people have had the opportunity to thoroughly review, given given when it was distributed. And we have prepared a letter saying what you've just suggested. And as soon as we have the opportunity to discuss that here, we'll send you a copy of it.
Sounds great. And thank you. I haven't received what was sent, I guess, this morning. So I've had no time to review that, so I can't offer any further comment. And I would support the continued conversation and the recommendation of the other members of the Historic District Commission. And with that, they're closing the door here, so I need to sign off.
Thanks so much, Russ, for making this effort. Okay, safe trip.
Yeah, thank you. All right, bye.
I agree with what Russ is saying regarding the amount of time if everything came in so late. How are we to process it? How is the public, which you made that point when we met last week, and Eric said the public doesn't know because there really isn't anything yet, correct? And I feel like that's important for people that live in this district to know because they're aware of everything else. And I also feel like we haven't really been able to discuss it.
Until right now.
And then looking at what was emailed this morning, I had so many questions too regarding the housing. Is there housing? There's just so many terms that have been out there. I did see one area that there was cultural overlay district, then there was regular overlay district. There's just so many inconsistencies. I feel like maybe they have not spent the time to get it 100%. And I know, being on the Halls Road Committee, how long it has taken, and that's still not even perfect yet. And I know that the nonprofit says they've been working on this for a year, but we really haven't had it a year, and there's just too many things that are not crystal clear for us to look over and to say this would fit in or this would not fit in. So I agree with Ross that I think it needs a little bit more time. I think we need more time.
The problem is, as I understand it, is that public comment closes tonight, and there will be no further opportunity for the HDC or the public to comment after tonight. But having received the proposal, the new proposal, so very late, it's not possible for us to make a carefully considered response when we've had zero time. When it arrived, I received it last night at 7:34 p.m. 7:34 p.m. on Sunday night. When we have a meeting at 9, there's absolutely no possibility that we can review the new changes, nor do we even know what's different in this proposal from the earlier proposal. Just putting the two side by side to see what changes appeared in the January 8th version as opposed to the earlier version that we commented on November 14th. Even that comparison would take a matter of hours, and nobody has provided us with an examination of those changes. So it's all been done in a chaotic, very rushed fashion, and nor do we know at this point, at least I don't know, who the other participants are. I have no idea.
That's true.
And John, I think, pointed out the distinction between the term petitioner and applicants. They seem to be used inconsistently. It's just very, very difficult to understand what is going on.
And I questioned whether Wilkersgold was in the Halls Road overlay district as well. I know initially they were, and then they were taken out. So I'm questioning, in my mind, are they on both of them?
My understanding is that, as of present, Florence Griswold Museum is in both overlay districts. That we were under the impression that it had been taken out of Halls Road
Right.
many months ago.
Right.
But the current map still has the Florence Griswold, so there's an overlap of the overlays?
With consequences that nobody understands.
Right, and Jeannie made the point that we are doing all this without council either.
Right, right. So we particularly are unable to rush through this analysis. So, and I think the final draft we received from Attorney Loam much later than 7:30.
That could be.
Yeah. So, I think we need a vote on a motion and a vote on our decision to take the position we are taking and submit that as our public comment. Is that accurate?
I think it's still not, it's not clear to me whether we tried very hard, John tried very hard at the last minute to pull together a comment based on very different revised language versions that have been flying around since January 3rd. But that attempt, important as it is, and it took a great deal of time and effort, I'm not sure it's finished enough to submit, but it may be better than nothing since we have no other opportunity to comment. So that's a dilemma. To me, it's a dilemma.
This is potentially our last opportunity to comment. So that is what is coming before the Zoning Commission tonight, is whether or not to close the public comment. So I think we have to say something. So we may not have another opportunity.
There's no extension, correct? It closes.
My understanding is the only option would be to withdraw the petition without prejudice and for them to re-propose that their legal time frame of 65 days, I think, expires tonight.
So since we don't know whether or not they will do that, what choices does that leave us?
To propose that also?
Propose what?
For the withdrawal of the application?
That's probably, I don't know. If we had counsel, we might. Whether that's something that we can propose, or whether the Zoning Commission itself comes to that conclusion and they request a withdrawal.
I think we can propose if we want to. I'm not sure it's wise for us to. I just don't know the answer to that. But we can propose that the Zoning Commission not accept the proposal in its present form.
Without review, without the ability for the public, the HDC and other interested parties to review, including the overlapping overlays. It just seems as if there are some things that are incomplete.
Half-baked is Eric Knapp's term.
Yes.
And even the objectives, the goals of the overlay zone are not clearly defined, have not been clearly defined yet. They've been presented, those goals have been presented to us in many different versions, but no one seems to have decided on what really is the primary objective. And we do know that the overlay zone was initiated by Lime Academy because it wanted a restaurant, but the other provisions for recreational use and the possibility of allowing new construction housing, those things are all major changes to the uses allowed in the historic district, and it does seem that they would benefit from wider discussion and debate.
We've also have heard comments that there's some possibility that they already have permission for a restaurant because they've operated a cafeteria for the college for years. Right now, it may not be in operation, but it has been in operation. So do they already have permission for that accessory use? And if they already have permission for the accessory use, then since they are the petitioners, they may not require the overlay
That's right.
zone. But these are unanswered questions.
Right. I'm sure they would like to know.
And the clock is ticking on answers.
And Jeannie, there was talk of 1,000 feet from 95, 850 feet, 900 feet, and I was questioning the same thing, and I saw it written here. Where does that start and stop?
So they've landed
It's
on,
not clear.
Right,
They
that's
don't
not clear
specify.
though.
nor has it yet been defined out whether it extends to both sides of the street, both the east and west side.
Okay.
So that's a big question. They landed on 900 linear. The latest proposal, the one we received early this morning, properties within said zone must be located within 900 linear feet of an exit from Connecticut Route 95.
It just says an exit.
It doesn't
could be
describe,
any exit.
it doesn't
say
describe
exit
what exit, and it doesn't define which side of the street that applies to. So, in some ways, the boundaries remain unclear.
So just to summarize, I mean, we could talk at greater length about the vagueness and the lack of definition of the provisions, like, for example, the geographic boundaries. But in addition to more detail, we have to make the fundamental decision of whether to comment in substance, in haste, because it has to be in haste. We haven't had any time to think carefully, to think extensively, whether we comment in haste or whether we simply provide a statement at the meeting tonight that says what Russ said, which is that we've had insufficient time to consider it, and therefore we stand by we've had no opportunity to revise our earlier proposal and comment.
Right.
So do we or do we not provide a supplementary comment, knowing that this is the only opportunity we will have to point out the specific, shall we say, deficiencies of the most recently acquired plan? So those are the choices as I see them.
Well, nothing was really addressed in our initial November 14th request or comments, correct? And now we have new ones for boundaries, petitioners, the restaurants, the housing. Like, I feel like none of our concerns were immediately addressed, and now we have maybe a few more. Like, where's the boundary and who exactly is participating?
The only request that they consider to have incorporated is the boundaries. That was not in that. It was not in the original.
Okay.
So, but you're absolutely correct that they're still ill-defined. So,
Show me where 900. Are we dropping a pin at the bridge, the overpass on the street and going? What? I don't understand.
we don't know, and that's very important.
And then the consequences for example, that circle, wherever the pin is dropped, would encompass a good chunk of Halls Road. So if there were to become, let's say, hypothetically in the future, an additional contiguous nonprofit, let's say contiguous to Lime Art Association or contiguous to the Flow Grizz, then what would that mean? So that, we just don't, none of these things, as far as I understand, have been explored. The consequences of and especially the adverse consequences of the changes being requested, to my knowledge, have not been explored, nor has public debate been held. So no one knows what it would be, not only Lime Street residents, but residents of the town who would be affected by this change. and would have, I would think, thoughts about whether or not they think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and while our purview is just the historic district, there is an argument, a strong argument to be made that this zoning change will affect other areas of town. And I know that it's not part of what we're weighing in on, but it does seem as if the town residents, the larger group of town residents, should be made aware of these potential changes. Residents and property owners.
Right, potential intensification. Will John be calling in?
He said he would call in at 10:15, but it's now 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
I think
So
maybe
he will
not.
call in at some point, but we don't know when. And John worked hard on this unfinished document, which you were sent this morning, with the intention would be that after this meeting, if we choose to send that document, we would update it based on the discussion at this meeting. So that remains a draft, not to be shared beyond because it's unfinished, and Justice Terry Long didn't share other drafts, so we would not share this draft until we have a chance to review it again and finalize it. And John spent a lot of time want to submit something detailed in addition to what we've already provided on November 14th.
It's my opinion that we should submit something. This is our last chance. There are many unanswered questions, and it's for the record. And if we don't submit it, the Zoning Commission won't have access to our thoughts. And they've been very interested in our thoughts until now, even though we all understand it's their decision to make. So I don't see why we wouldn't submit final comment.
So therefore, shall we make a motion that we will work again on the document that John provided and make it the most accurate that we can, given the time frame and the information that we have, in order to provide with additional comments that we won't be able to make after tonight.
I would second that motion. All in favor?
Any discussion? Any more discussion?
The motion is to submit the comment.
The motion is to submit the comment. I vote yes.
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 And who seconded that?
I did.
Okay.
Right? So unless anyone has anything else, anything from Russ has submitted a text message on some wording that we can discuss when we sit down and review what John's proposed, or John has written. All right, so we move on to the 21 Lime Street discussion regarding prior decisions by the HDC regarding the placement of the HVAC at the Sacrestano House. We're a bit early, and we don't know whether either he or anyone else will come in for that discussion.
Hey, what's the latest update on that?
The latest update is that he has an attorney to help him with any number of things related to the potential sale of his house.
Okay.
This is just a small one. And the attorney called me in December, and I told him what the process that we'd followed.
Okay.
And, we'd made numerous accommodations and, tried to work with Paul all the way through, but he had decided to go ahead and
Right.
install his HVAC in an unapproved location,
Okay.
and invited the attorney and Paul to attend the meeting if they
Okay.
wanted to discuss it.
What time are they scheduled in?
10:10.
Yep. So Paul just sent me an email saying that he wanted to let the board know that he was, when the installers came to install the HVAC that was on the second story on the porch there, he was expecting a smaller unit, and they brought the larger one and put it in.
Right.
He just said he didn't know ahead of time that was going to happen.
Right, we knew that.
Yeah,
We knew
okay.
that.
Actually, I don't think so. That's inconsistent with my memory. My memory is that he said that he had tried to order a smaller unit and it was not available
Yeah.
from his distributor, and therefore he had no option except to order the larger unit, which is not consistent with the email that he has just sent to Martha. My clear memory, is that he certainly knew that he was ordering the larger unit, even though he maintained that the smaller unit was not available, or not available until a longer time period because of the supply chain holdups, delays.
Mhm. Yeah, whether he knew ahead of time or not, it doesn't really
No,
Yeah,
it
it really
right,
doesn't.
it's irrelevant,
Yeah.
right.
at this point. I mean, it's kind of a closed issue because what we have on the C of A is a certain thing. That's what we approved, and then something different happened.
Right.
So, and we have not heard back from his lawyer.
Do we have to make a decision or anything on
No,
this today?
it was just a
Continue?
discussion.
Okay, oh, all right,
Just a
okay,
discussion, yeah.
okay.
So it appears that he's not likely to be coming in if he's emailing you?
Let's see.
I know there was zoning issue too, and I see that he was doing some outside work to kind of catch up on that too.
And my question is, did he have a C of A to replace his driveway?
Mhm.
Did.
It was supposed to be just gravel with the edging. We approved the edging and the gravel to be the same as what was already there.
And that's what he's done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we want to move on and then catch up if he comes or his attorney comes?
I think we should just go on, yes.
Yep.
Let's finish the meeting, and then if he comes, we'll include him.
Right. The next item on our agenda is to discuss the placement of the National Votes for Women trail marker. Carolyn and I took a site visit to the town green on the south end of Lime Street and discussed various locations for placement. We submitted a photograph with the meeting documents on a proposed location that would be just to the left-hand side of the driveway entering into the Cox house. We haven't discussed this with the homeowners, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Even though it's not their property, this placement would be very much visually connected to their house. So I think that's important. What does anyone else think?
I didn't realize that there had not been a discussion with the property owners, even though, like you said, it is not their personal property, it is clearly in their view.
I should correct what I said. There was a discussion with the property owners long ago
Okay.
when we agreed to install a marker. But when those discussions took place, the placement was going to be closer to the Congregational Church corner, the bend
Right.
in the road, and sort of clustered in there. And now that the Lafayette marker is up, we have concluded that that was not the best placement,
Right.
and we've considered this new placement, and that is what we haven't discussed with the homeowners.
Right, because it is a large sign.
It is.
We talked about the color, and they would see this each and every time they would be driving in and out of their driveway, correct?
They would.
I agree that a conversation with the homeowner is
Is key.
required.
I think it would be, myself, I think it'd be personally better somewhere near the library or something. I just think it's a big plaque, and perhaps, somewhere more centrally located is better, because that if it is placed there, even though it is town green, people will be on their property or looking at their house or whatever. And I think it's the same reason why One Line Street did not want the Lafayette right on their house and property. That one I think should have went there, but this one I feel like it's large, it's big, it's going to be to the left of the driveway that they enter and exit all the time. So I think you have to really consider their opinion.
So shall we leave it that we'll make a call to the Coxes and at the same time pursue this idea of having it placed at the library?
Yes, depending on, the library thinks that because of the way the sign is worded, that this is Catherine Ludington's house. So the wording of the sign dictates that the sign needs to be placed at the house. So if we wanted to place it elsewhere, we would have to somehow provide an auxiliary sign or something. And the librarian thought that would be rather awkward, although she didn't rule it out. She said she thought, given the initial agreement or the initial expectation of the group, plus the wording of the plaque, that it would perhaps be better if it were placed at the site. But she didn't rule out the possibility, if that didn't work, of placing it at the library. So we have two things to pursue. So perhaps we should check in with the homeowners first, and then depending on what they say, if they say, oh no, we love it here,
Right.
then it's still up to us to decide if we think that's the best location, but at least we would know it's an option.
Right. I think that's the best.
And we should provide them with a nice picture.
So they
should.
know exactly
So we need, exactly, we need to,
size and everything.
Because it's,
yeah. Yep,
Very prominent.
yeah, and unexpected.
And Deanie had informally suggested maybe to try to diminish its, the visual impact, to use the words that we heard before, to reduce the visual impact, we could shorten it and not have it up high, but have it lower to the ground. But that's only going to reduce the visual impact minimally. So
Can it be
We could, I mean, you could probably cut the height of the post itself,
yes,
and it would be lower. Whether or not that would affect the scale of it all, of sign to post, we'd have to go down in the basement and really look at that.
yes.
So I think we are still not ready to make a decision on.
Can it be fixed on fence, or no, the fence is property owners?
It would pull the fence down. It's a very heavy piece of.
And the fence badly needs repair. There's a lot of fly rot in the fence.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's wasn't designed to sit on a fence.
okay,
It's too big for that. It would just look,
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
all right. We're way ahead of schedule. Shall we move on to new and ongoing business?
yeah, might as well.
All right. Signage policy and lighting policy. we continue to work on refining something that we can share with Historic District residents on these two issues. John has been working on signage policy for some time, and Russ Todd has agreed to provide some good technical information on lighting. And one of the thoughts John and I had was, when we finally get these two policies together, should we merge these two letters and send them together rather than separately? My feeling is that that would be a good thing to do, because you only get people's attention for so long.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation, but others may feel differently.
Will those new policies be in the handbook as well,
Well, they won't be in the handbook now.
but in the future?
We could put them in as an addendum, which probably would be a good idea. We could do a slip-in
Okay.
thing. So,
And they would be on the website.
and they would be on the website.
Okay.
I agree with Deb and with you, Deanie, that one sheet with both lists of both recommendations rather than two separate mailings is the best idea.
Okay? Great. Alternate HDC members, we still would like to. I have this list, but I think some people have dropped off of it unintentionally. So I have Nina Peck, and you had someone, didn't you, Deb?
Marie,
Yeah,
last name.
the one that came to the meeting.
Right. And I have, I really haven't followed up with her, because I believe at our last discussion, we had other people that were more
Were more,
interested, but
right.
I certainly can follow up with her.
Okay. Carolyn has
If you have big
brilliantly already suggested Ed Pinn, which is great.
I think he'll be good.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see. You never know, but my guess is he'll be good.
So shall I pursue Nina Peck? She was on this commission for years, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
She was on the commission when I first
Oh, okay.
came in to do the work on my house.
Okay.
She's an architect in town and elsewhere, and is currently renting with two other architects the little red building on Lime Street.
Oh, good.
They have sort of an architectural studio there.
Thanks.
So she might be willing to step back on.
I think that with Ed coming on, we don't have the same urgency for this now.
Right.
But that it's really important to keep thinking and keep searching and see who else we can
Yep.
find.
Okay. The next issue is the list of enforcement concerns. We had discussed creating a list, an ongoing list that would be modified as needed. And I think, I'd like to get started on that and bring something in February for discussion.
I think that's excellent, Deanie. And one idea was that it would be submitted to the CEO
Yes.
on, let's say, the first day of every month. Some months there would be no changes.
Right.
And other months there would be additions, let's say, or removals if some of the problems have been resolved. So I think it's an excellent idea.
I think it would help Eric Knapp, and it would help us keep track of.
So this would be a referral somewhat of
Right.
a neighbor or a resident called and is concerned. They'd reach out to us versus Eric, and we would just relay that.
I mean, there are some things, and Martha can speak to this. So we've now completed our Lime Street survey,
Right.
and we have photographs and we have notes, and that have noted several houses and that have about which we have concerns. Mainly, it's on the mechanicals.
Okay.
So, are we the first? This is for Martha. Are we the first people that write on that kind of a concern, or is it from zoning?
I would think if we have a concern that we should just write them.
Yeah. So,
You know,
so
because-
we would, yeah. So we would write, but it would also alert Eric Knapp to
Okay.
what we're doing.
So it's a referral from us to him.
And
Yeah,
we'll
right.
note on this that we have contacted the homeowner. So he'll know that.
So I would just say, do a copy to him
Yeah.
whenever we send something about compliance.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
in addition to that, we'll also keep a running list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The running list will help us all a lot, rather than just saying the HVAC down the street and the, the lattice fence here and the, if we just can keep track of it in our minds. Okay. The next item is notes for Old Lyme events. Deb,
Which
you were
I
going
did
to
get
speak.
the booklet, I think everybody did recently, so I really have not done anything much with it. I mentioned to Ellen, because she had written in for Christ King a few times. So I think I have to reach out to Tim's office, because I think the submissions go there, so I have it, and, I'll just take suggestions of what you want in the paragraph or whatever.
I think what John Noyes had suggested, and I agree, I think it would be great to have a regular little box. And sometimes we would have, if there was something very interesting, important lighting, signage policy, we would reference that. Or it could be a piece of historical information that would be interesting. The idea is really to engage the town-wide in the historic district as sort of a living place.
Yes, definitely.
Are you still in your meeting? Hi, Carol.
Hi.
I'm Katie. I just wanted to introduce myself. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
How are you? So I'm new here, and I wanted to catch you before you left the building.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
okay. My apologies for interrupting.
I'll come to your office.
I'm the new Michelle Noren.
Yeah, I know. And I look forward to meeting you properly.
Katie, thank you.
Okay.
I'll stop stalking you.
Okay.
And I was actually going to say, I think she might be my contact
Yeah.
on this. So if you just tell me what you want, I think if you try to get into commenting on something historical, I think the Historic District or the Historical Society does something like that. So,
We could also do our own. I mean, I don't
Right.
think
It
that
should be our own.
precludes us.
Yeah.
right.
I
so
think it should be our
let
own.
me find out exactly the submission date and, what type of thing you would
Yeah.
like in there.
And we could have some, when, for example?
And it's quarterly.
Quarterly.
So this one is, oh gosh, this one is dated like, maybe this is a new one, yeah, this is one that I got. I don't know, it's dated like 2020, so I don't know. So I'll have to find out from Katie when it needs to be submitted.
Right. I mean, there's so many nice things that we could comment outside of enforcement issues. We could mention, the daffodil field, and what a sort of hearkening of spring that is when that comes into bloom. Or there are things throughout the historic district that we could highlight of interest that don't have to do with HVAC systems.
And they're going to be problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to try and keep it light.
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting for
Okay.
people.
But not just light, but to make people think about the HDC's work in a positive way.
Right.
How, its stewardship of the historic
Exactly.
district is very important, and
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And going back to 1971, where it was the beginning of it and the reason behind it. So I think maybe a little history would be important.
That is the most, in part of the preparation for this, in this overlay work that we've been doing. I did go back and read through the minutes from 1969 through 1971 of the Zoning Commission. It's completely fascinating to read all the comments of the various commissioners and townspeople and regarding this. It was so unanimous. I mean, there was barely a conversation about it.
Really?
The thing that was most critical at that time was serving liquor. I mean, it just, the conversations around liquor went on. And the creation of the historic district was just absolutely, of course no one is opposed to this. I mean, it was just sort of, this is the most important thing we have. And we're not going to allow sales of liquor, in and around Lime Street, Main Street at the time, because there was a fear that there'd be bars every 7 feet or something.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't want it to become sort of like a honky tonk. Anyway, it's really so interesting to see the seeds of preservation and just how much they've contributed to the beauty of the town today.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there could almost be, sometimes the Lime Historical Society does this, and I think the Lime Public Hall does it also. Did you know?
Yeah.
Did you know that in in 2017 or 2016, the HDC was the first person group to stand up against the railroad or something like that,
And that's such an interesting point, and it's absolutely true, and Martha will remember this well. That was the very first conversation we had about the FRA proposal.
Yeah.
Was sitting at our meeting. I think it was in January,
Yeah.
And, So, that, and then, we all got to work, and it expanded far beyond the HDC, but, our sort of paying attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Deb, if you do want to do something on the early history, the November 14th letter has some lines you could borrow.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Nice to hear your voice, John.
I'm sorry I was late joining. Is there anything I need to contribute? This is a long story, but anyway, I couldn't get on for a while.
So were you on for any part of the overlay discussion?
No, I'm surprised I missed it, but okay, I'm glad you're on schedule.
So it was a good conversation. We ended with an agreement, a motion, that we would submit comment that, we're in the process of refining. That it's important.
Okay.
It's important given this potentially could be our last opportunity to comment, that we comment. So
I see. Okay.
there was a motion to do that, and it was and all were in favor, including Russ.
Oh, Russ was able to join. Good.
He was on the phone. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll if there's anything I need to see, send it to me.
Do you have anything to add overall to the meeting?
No.
Okay.
For once, no.
It's only 10:30. There.
You were sitting here twiddling our thumbs, huh?
Yeah.
We could actually adjourn.
Yeah. I think we can adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Hey, I'm on the agenda.
Who was that? Oh, Paul?
Yes.
Oh, Paul. Okay. Paul's here. All right. So, did you just come on, Paul, or were you on
No,
when
I've been on since 10:05.
Okay. Okay. So, what would you like to say?
Well, I'd just like to make sure that, first of all, we are against moving that compressor because we don't want to see any more of the ductwork but I would like to make sure that if we move it, we will immediately be in compliance. So that's what I need to know.
Where would you move it, Paul? You'll have to be specific. Maybe send us photographs so that we can judge.
Well, we approved.
Carolyn, you're the one who told me where to move it.
Thank you, Paul.
You said to move it to the right of the window.
In between, that's what my recollection is, and Martha has a better memory, but my recollection is that is what we approved in our special meeting, right?
Right, but bear in mind still that this will, it is a picket fence. It will be further off the road, but it will be just as visible.
Wait, we're talking about the one on your porch?
Yes.
Upstairs?
Yes, but I mean it's a picket railing on the
right.
the porch, so you're not going to see it by me moving it over.
No.
It's still going to be visible, and it's not going to be any less visible. And what's going to be more visible is another 8 feet of the ductwork, because right now the shield covers 80% of the ductwork. But it won't once it gets moved over, because it has to start to the left of the window.
Right. John, do you have any comment? John here.
No, I'm having trouble picturing the ductwork without a picture, and I obviously on the phone can't see that.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's the same ductwork that is everywhere. All of these things have something that looks like a gutter coming down the side of the house. And right now, you're only seeing about 2 feet of ductwork because of maybe 3 feet because of the stealth enclosure that we have for the compressor. But once we move it to the other side of the window, you're going to see it come all the way down to the bottom of the window and go across to the new location for the compressor.
But Paul, would it go the ductwork that you're talking about? It would go along the bottom of the house.
Right, but you would also see the extra 4 feet that go alongside the window.
Right.
4 or 5 feet, which we've got basically covered up. I mean, that's my contention, is that's more egregious to me than a compressor that you cannot see.
There's ductwork all over town, all over this district, because ductwork is something that people have.
Well, there's also compressors all over the town. The daycare has one right in front of their house.
Yeah, so I think it was you remember the whole, how it all unfolded. We wanted the smaller one.
Well, it unfolded, but Caroline came with an off-the-cuff comment saying, I think it would look better on the other side of the window.
Well, I think
it wasn't
would.
really a discussion.
Here's why I think we all think that, and the reason is that when you look at your house, you look at the beautiful central original house itself, and then there's this little appendage right there. So if it were pushed back, yes, it's still there, and you will still be able to see it. It's true, but it won't be just front and center with the beautiful original house. I mean, I know it seems...
Well, but see, you guys are suggesting, and John suggested that he doesn't like to see something break the front of the house. But in this particular house, the porch breaks it, as does the railing on top of the deck. I mean, it isn't like there's nothing on the side of that house. I mean, it's there's a central house, and then there's an appendage that goes off 10 feet, further north.
But
so it's not like you're seeing just the house.
But the central house, and you've done extraordinary work, and it's beautiful. It looks so beautiful now. Much of it, all of it, but the house itself is really beautiful. And so the visual, in our opinion, the visual impact to to the original old house will be less if you shift that unit off the front of it, off the edge, off the immediate edge of it. I know there are other places where this hasn't happened. And, hopefully we're trying to address as many as we can. But your place, is really spectacular. And it just seems to us that not having the break, not having that modern installation right there on the edge, would soften its presence altogether.
But it isn't, you're not seeing a compressor. You're seeing a little box that's sided exactly the same as our house. We're prepared to move it. We think the ductwork is considerably more egregious, and we're not going to be able to stop that from being there. We cover most of it by where it is right now, but once we move it, you're going to see an additional 6 or 8 feet of ductwork.
But you probably won't see it because it will be running along the bottom of the.
Except there's also the 4.5 feet that's covered by the enclosure for the compressor. You're going to see that, and it's going to be just to the other side of another gutter. So it's going to. I think that looks worse. But, if we move it, we want to know that we will be immediately in compliance and not have any further issues with, getting our CO after doing all this work.
But Paul, if you keep the install, where it's installed right now, I remember when we came for our site visit in the summer, you had the piping already coming out of the wall, correct, in that spot?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so if they're able to, your guy, if we're going to talk about moving the condenser, I don't know how many feet or whatever, on the other side of the window, why can't he from where that, I don't know what it is, that the pipe or whatever that comes out of the wall, and if he's just going to do the piping or whatever, that does look like a gutter. I know I have it on my house where it's kind of broken up and it does look like a gutter. So that's what you're saying that we're going to see, because we're going to see like the junction box or whatever they call it, where it comes out of the house to the we're going to call it a gutter, but I don't know the exact term.
It's a duct.
It's the duct. So we're going to see that versus what we see right now, which is the condenser that's enclosed.
Yes.
So
you don't see a condenser.
Right.
What you see is what encloses the condenser. And you guys can say what you want, but if I had furniture up here with cushions, I could put one of those cheap plastic things the same size as that enclosure on here, and I could put it anywhere I wanted on the deck. And it wouldn't look like this.
What are you saying, Paul?
You could put a giant potted plant or something there, and you're right, and we wouldn't see anything.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I think that's what he's suggesting. But this is an attachment. This is attached to the house.
But I think if you're saying that you're going to move it on the other side of the window, and I really would have to see it again to be clear on it. But if you're moving it to the other side of the window, that was our original request, I think.
It was in between the two, the window and door.
And I know.
I think it's a mistake.
I think it's a pain to do, and a lot of these.
Well, it's a huge pain, and it's very expensive, and I think it's a mistake. But we're willing to do it. I just want to make sure that this little nightmare of mine goes away as soon as I move it. I don't want, I don't need any more, issues with it. We need to get a CO for our construction, and if you insist I move it, I will move it. I think it's a mistake because you're going to see more of the duct work, which I think is more egregious than this stealth unit. But I will move it. I just want to make sure that upon moving it,
The ductwork is going to be, what, like 5 inches off the level of the deck, or more than that?
it's already out there. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, I'm sure you've driven past it 500 times since it went up. You don't see it. You don't notice it, but I think you'll notice the duct because
Right,
it looks like a gutter in the middle of the you know, but all I want to know is that if I move it, I will be in compliance.
The answer, Paul, is yes. If you meet the conditions of the C of A, you're in compliance. Full
Okay.
stop. That's the answer to your question. I'm with Deb that I have trouble. You know, if you want to continue the construction, we should see pictures.
But you guys already told us if I move it to the right, I will be in compliance.
Correct.
I'm prepared to do that because I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. But I also don't want you guys to come back and say, I didn't think that duct would look so bad.
We can't change the C of A if you have complied with it.
Yep.
Okay, so
I
if I move it, then there is no more issue with this condenser and the stealth unit that covers it.
Right. I would only say because we're not all exactly clear, so do read the C of A as approved.
Well, that just basically tells me I need to move it to the other side of the window.
That's what it says.
Yeah. Is that what it says?
Yeah. And Paul, one last off-the-cuff comment from Carolyn. If you do move it, which I guess you're going to do, then try to put the duct placement in a location that has the lowest visual impact. It will be better for you as you sell the house.
We will go under the window.
For the historic district. Paul, you didn't let me finish, Paul. Did you hear the rest of my sentence? I think you interrupted.
Yes, we will go under the window, but we can't move the part that's coming down because it has to originate where the original unit is. So it will have to start where it is currently, and then it will go down and under the window. But the 7 feet or so of it that is going to be visible has to be where it is.
Well, you'll do
or I have to run it above the window.
It's good for your sale, so you'll do the best possible thing you can do. It's not just for us, it's for you as well.
Yeah. It's going to look like a gutter.
In the middle of my house.
Well, it's on the edge. It's on the edge of the side.
Deb is showing us some photographs, not of your house, but of other duct work, and that we'd be glad to share with you if that would be helpful.
No, I mean I don't need any more direction. If moving it will put me in compliance, and nobody's willing to consider the fact that I think the duct work is worse, I will move it.
I think that's where we are.
Okay, fine. I will move it at my first opportunity, which may possibly be this week or next.
John, are you in agreement?
I think that's where we are.
All right.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to discuss this today is because I believe the original letter went out in July and gave me 4 months to move this. So I wanted to make sure I'm still in compliance if I do move it.
Oh.
I think we might have to review that letter, Paul. We don't have it. I don't think we have it in front of us.
You mean the C of A, Paul?
The C of A you're talking about?
Usually we say it says 4 months?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Well, we could move to extend the C of A for another 3 or 4 months beyond it.
Yeah, well, it should be done this month.
Okay.
If we're going to do it, we're going to get it done this month. We finally have gotten the attention of our installer and probably have it done before the end of this month.
So another 30 days.
So you don't need an extension, Paul, or you do need an extension?
No, he does. Need an extension because the C of A has expired.
Ah.
Right, which I mean, if you say you usually do a year, I'm not sure why this was 4 months, but whatever. Let's give me another couple of months. It will be done. We'll have it moved.
Sure.
Right?
To the end of February.
Okay. So do we need a motion to extend the...
Let's have a motion.
Extend the C of A by 60 days, is that what the motion should be?
I would say that's...
It should be, you don't want to extend it 60 days from its expiration. We should set a date to which it is extended.
March 1st.
Oh. What works for you, Paul?
It should be done this month.
Safe.
I mean, I got an email from the installer that he could possibly get here this week or next. So, if you give me till the end of February, it should be we should have it done well before that.
Okay. Shall we say March 1st?
That's fine. And I sent you guys a copy of the original letter the original email from the installer, because I feel that you guys think that I baited and switched you with the size of these things. I sent it to Martha. What he told me was they were smaller. I was as surprised as you guys when I saw the bigger ones. However, with that cold snap we had around Christmas, the other ones would have stopped working, and these did not. So I'm kind of glad that we have the ones that are, suitable for lower temperatures and more efficient.
Good. Okay, well, so the motion is on the table is to extend the completion period for the change of location for the condenser at 21 Lime Street to March 1st.
I would say extend rather than change, but
extend.
Yeah.
We're simply extending the C of A with conditions until March 1st.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Deb, a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Who made that motion? Deanie?
I did.
Deanie, okay. That's what I thought.
Seconded by Deb.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Are we ready to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay. I'll second.
Move. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We adjourn at 10:45.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, John and Paul, if you're still on.
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
All right.
I should terminate the call, I think, given the adjournment, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.